Welcome back. That was His Excellency, the Head of State, President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi's address to the nation on the 44th Sinai Liberation Day in full. And with us now for more details over the phone is Dr. Mohamad Hashem, the Professor of Mass Comm. Good afternoon, Dr. Hashem.
Yes, good afternoon, and thank you for having me on the show.
It's a real pleasure to have you again here on a special edition. On the 27th of April 1982, Egypt was able to raise its flag on liberated Sinai. How the Egyptian state is commemorating the 44th anniversary of Sinai liberation amid the turbulent political crisis and military escalation across the region?
Well, the main celebration was obviously President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi's main speech, which fortified the 44-year anniversary of the liberation of Sinai. And it's a pivotal moment in Egypt's history, it's not just that it merely recovered the occupied land, but it's an affirmation and declaration that Egypt is on the road to development, construction, and really insisting on peace for the region with the embodiment of rights and truth for the region.
Right. Actually, His Excellency President al-Sisi have delivered key messages through this very impressive speech given over the commemoration of the 44th anniversary. He emphasized over Egypt's sovereignty and territorial integrity firsthand. He also talked about other issues later on, about unity and solidarity with our brothers, the Gulf countries as a whole, unified nation altogether inside the region. There were several key messages that were very important. Let's start off with the sovereignty and integrity of Egypt.
Yes, of course. I mean, the move for the return of Sinai was also the beginning of peace for the region. And that continues on till today, 44 years, so since 1982. It's a geographical peace treaty that's been moved across the region. The President mentioned things like his expression and respect and appreciation, obviously, for the brave armed forces and the civil police that were playing a major part in the internal security back then, and also gratitude and loyalty to the late President Mohamad al-Sadat, whose visionary leadership and strong guided the path to freedom and peace. Right.
Actually, we're celebrating the 44th anniversary, which means 44 years now. How have that changed the face of Sinai from a totally neglected place, which is also one of our treasures, to one of the best logistical, commercial, touristic piece of land, dear piece of land to our hearts in Egypt?
Yes, obviously the region, including Taba, is one of the most prominent areas for tourism and business cooperation and beautiful places of the world. Since 1982, obviously, there's a lot of development and construction, and that's a key term the President used over and over again. And he also emphasized about the challenges along the way, especially the last 5 years with the COVID-19 pandemic and then the Russian war, Ukrainian war in Gaza, and most recently the tensions involved with Iran. The region has continued to be the main source of peace and stability, and major development with hotels and real estate and also railway services.
Of course. The President have repeated several times, on a number of times, Egypt's full rejection to the interference in the Gulf area's sovereignty and integrity, and also crossing the borderline, bombarding our brothers and sisters in the Gulf countries. He also rejected any hostilities that could be exercised inside the Arab region by any other force, and said that Egypt and those countries are part and parcel of each other. The national security of the Gulf areas is part and parcel of our national security. How important is that to deliver the message of solidarity inside the Arab region?
Yes, it's extremely important. Over the last 7 weeks since the war on Iran, the President has stressed over and over again the importance of keeping the peace in the region, especially for the GCC countries, which include Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, UAE, Dubai. All of these countries are very, very important for the world and definitely for the region in keeping the borders safe. And these countries are especially known for stability, security, prosperity in the region and the world. And Egypt is playing a huge part in keeping negotiations deliberate with efforts of peace underway to reshape the region there's a lot of extremist ideological claims around, and Egypt is doing a fantastic job in keeping tensions as calm as possible with continuous negotiations and talks with neighboring countries and other allies worldwide.
Of course. Observing what have happened with development and infrastructural projects and universities that have been built, logistical areas, foreign investment that have been affected all over the place in the Red Sea and in Sinai and Suez Canal and all that. That, if it reflects something, it reflects Egypt policy that is all built on building and development and integration and peace and security, not waging wars or hostility or complicating policies or personal conflicts or all that. How far have that proved Egypt policies?
Very far. Egypt, in the President's speech, again affirms the necessity of respecting state sovereignty and territorial integrity. It rejects claims to divide and fragment nations. So things like fuel and internal international conflicts are all things Egypt is trying to negotiate and, again, keep from becoming bigger disasters like bloodshed and destruction. Egypt is leading the way in the region and the world, basically, to framework and condemn recent attacks on on its sovereign brotherly Arab states, obviously. And it's by rejecting the violation of the sovereignty of these countries. And there's a stress and emphasis on development and construction. There are many projects along the way, as these countries have always been prosperous and friendly in the region worldwide. So Egypt is playing a huge role to protect the rights, preserve dignity, and uphold the values of justice and humanity.
Right. On that note, Dr. Mohamad Hashem, Professor of Mass Comm, would like to thank you so much for your valuable input to